Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Exhaust Sports Auto. This is a review on the new 2019 Mazda CX-5. Now, why do I have this vehicle? Well, it's because next week I should be getting a brand new 2019 Toyota RAV4 to review, so I wanted a good perspective on what to look out for in a proper, good driving SUV. So what better place to come to than Capital Mazda of Cary, who has graciously lent me this Mazda CX-5 to review for you guys once again. I already did a review on the Mazda 3 if you haven't seen that already. So if you're interested in a brand new Mazda, definitely check them out. I'll leave all their information down in the description box below. But now onto the review. So first up, like always, like with every Mazda, it looks incredible, especially these newly redesigned ones. I had it parked up against the previous generation, like the 2015 Mazda CX-5s, and I just love how they made the headlights and the taillights a little bit thinner, a little bit more minimalistic. I always love that design. It looks so clean. Now, forgive me, it is pollen season, so there's a bit of pollen on the vehicle, so just disregard that. Otherwise, fantastic looking car. Now, I said this in the Mazda 3 review, and I'm going to say that here. The thing that sets Mazda apart from literally every manufacturer is their driving dynamics. That's without a doubt. That is what they're known for. That's what they spend their money on, and you see that immediately with these cars. And I love that there is no ridiculous modes or settings like that. There's just normal and sport, and I'm in the sport mode right now, which is why it's holding the revs up a little bit higher than it normally would. But, you know, I just feel like the normal mode is the most natural feeling, so I'm just going to leave it in that. And it doesn't feel synthetic. It doesn't feel like everything is electronically overboosted. It just feels right. This is the Grand Touring model, so it is the fully loaded, but it is just the regular non-turbo 2.5 liter Skyactiv engine, and it feels great. It's got 186 horsepower. It feels right. It feels natural. You know, if you want power, you're in the right place, because they do offer a turbo model with 250 horses and 310 pounds-feet of torque. I believe Mazda is the only company to offer such an engine option in this class of vehicle. But this 2.5 liter is the one that pretty much everybody's going to go for, and this feels great. I am not lusting for more power in this. This feels just right, more than adequate for a vehicle of this size and weight. And this vehicle weighs about, what, 3,600, maybe 3,700 with all the options. Really class competitive, not bad at all. So power is great, real linear, really nice. And if you want more, that's also an option. Now, like I was saying, driving dynamics, that's what they're known for. And this car, the body is so well controlled. You know, like I said, it's a 3,600 to 3,700 pound vehicle, and this feels really well controlled. No matter how I drive, no matter how I throw this thing around, it feels really nice. It's almost car-like in the way it feels, and that is a huge compliment for an SUV. And for an SUV, I'm looking now, and this thing is like a fishbowl. There's the blind spots are really well maintained, especially with these mirrors. They do a great job, so you shouldn't have any real issues seeing out of this vehicle. Now, you might be wondering, because they spent so much time on the driving of the vehicle, has it screwed up the ride quality of this car? No, I'm pleased to say it has not. This rides really well. It has a reassuring feeling over every type of pavement, and I have no issues daily driving this. This is a really comfortable ride, I think. Probably not the most comfortable. Again, you know, there's got to be a bit of compromise when you spend so much time on the driving dynamics, but I would rather have it be one of the best driving SUVs that you can buy. You know what I mean? Almost everyone says that if they had one choice of an SUV that they would buy if they had no choice, it would be a CX-5, because of the way it drives, because of the way it feels. Just feels right. And one thing I really loved about the Mazda 3 was the seating position. That continues here in the CX-5. So all great things. It's a really comfortable car to be in. Road noise is really well controlled as well, even at speeds. It hardly comes through. And this was also, again, the Mazda 3 was much the same. It was such a quiet car. I mean, it felt like you were in like some BMW 5 Series or something like that, how quiet these cars are. It has a true luxury car feel to it, and to the point where these cars kind of feel above their class. It doesn't even feel like it belongs in like a mid-size, you know, regular SUV category. It feels like it's far above that. Like I should be comparing this thing to like an Audi or something. Because it's a brand new car, obviously there's no creaks and rattles, but I can't speak on that too much because there's not much miles on the vehicle. So, but I'm assuming this is going to hold up pretty well. Everything feels pretty solid in here. Now, one thing I didn't really touch on is that this car does have the all-wheel drive, so it is putting down the power pretty well. Not too much wheel spin or anything like that. In fact, no wheel spin. And this does run on some 19-inch rims with 225 all-season tires all around, and holding up pretty good. But I would probably just go for the front-wheel drive, honestly. This is the non-turbo model, so this should do just fine with front-wheel drive. Shouldn't be too much wheel spin or anything like that. You can't get a Mazda turbo without getting the all-wheel drive, because that's just going to be like a burnout machine, if you just had 310 pounds-feet of torque going to the front wheel. So I really thought that was smart that Mazda gave you all-wheel drive as standard with the turbo. But in this car, I think front-wheel drive is more than enough, and it'll probably take off a bit of weight as well. But overall, I can't really find any strangeness with the way this thing drives. In fact, I really like it, and I would have to agree with the thoughts of some other journalists that if I were in the market for a small crossover SUV, this would probably have to be on my short list. I mean, this would definitely have to be a vehicle that I check out. In fact, this is the one I would choose, really. But that shouldn't really come to anybody's surprise. I mean, the Mazda 3 was a car that I was a huge fan of, so I don't see what's not to like about this vehicle either. So if you're forced to drive a family crossover vehicle, definitely check this one out. That's enough about the drive. We all know that's the highlight of any Mazda. Let's check out the other highlight, which is the interior. Okay, climbing inside of the new Mazda CX-5. Not a bad place to climb into, I must say. Plenty of soft touch, padded materials, padded leather all around the door panels and the front dash here. Really nice place to be, man. And really the only con I can find with this interior is all this black plastic material that they use all around the gear lever and the window switches, high traffic areas, especially in this pollen season. Tons of dust being covered up here, so that's not cool. But the rest of it, really nice choice of material. This kind of matte wood texture is really nice, real classy looking. Even this chrome that they use isn't super reflective, actually. It's a nice type of chrome, and I really like that. And a really just nice solid cabin, something that's above its class, really. Like I was saying, the driving part of it, this really isn't the class of like Audis and things of that nature. It's that well put together. So the interiors and the drive is really what these Mazda vehicles are known for, and this interior is showing. Seats, comfortable as expected. However, I don't think it's quite as comfortable as the Mazda 3 seats. It's like a newer generation. They like X-rayed people's bodies to get that level of comfort. So, but this is still really nice, and the driving position is great, as I said in the driving segment, so I don't mind that. Steering wheel, great size, feels well made, actually, and slightly stitched, just feels great in the hands, like that. The steering controls is a little bit more ambiguous, not quite sure what's going on here. There is a volume up and down switch, which is good. And the center gauges, yes, has a digital speedometer. However, the black levels are amazing. It actually looks like a real physical speedometer, so that's great to see. And that also goes for this, I believe it's a 7-inch screen, a little bit smaller, but again, great black levels, has a real rich look to it. And it's actually controlled by this knob. This is actually a more previous generation Mazda infotainment, but it still comes with Apple CarPlay. It looks great, and it works well too, especially with this knob. I really like this. The knob has a great tactile feel, and so does all the buttons. All the buttons feel premium in this car. That all feels really nice. And the usability of the screen isn't bad either. I prefer using the knob because the touchscreen stuff, it gets real dirty real quick, and I don't really enjoy that. This is much easier to control while you're driving. You shouldn't be controlling it while you're driving, but it's a little bit less distracting, and I enjoy that. Climate control, just like in the Mazda 3, this is separated from the screen, so all the temperatures, all that shows up here. You have hard buttons for your heated and cooled seats. This is the more, this is literally a fully loaded trim, the Grand Touring with the all-wheel drive. This is about as fully loaded as it gets for the regular 4-cylinder without the turbo. So it's got all the bells and whistles, but the solidity, I'm sure, continues in all the trim levels. And finally, I'm just going to touch on the Bose audio. I mean, fantastic. It's really bumping in here. The Tatiana remix is going to sound absolutely phenomenal in here. So no problems there. I think we've covered just about everything with the interior. I mean, I think everybody's beaten this to death. The drive and the interior is really what Mazda is known for, so it's really of no surprise. So let's check out that rear seat. Climbing inside of the back seats of the Mazda CX-5. Mazdas are not typically known for the amount of space in their interiors. This is a bit tight, however, I do fit, so can't really complain too much, you know what I mean? I mean, I can easily do a long trip in here like this. This is set to my seat sitting. I could maybe push it up a little bit further, but honestly, it's not terrible, but it's definitely not the most spacious in the class. And, you know, that's fine. You know, I don't really care about that. This is spacious enough. You can fit humans back here, and that's what's most important. And, you know, plenty of space for water bottles and things of that nature. It's a really well laid out cabin, like practically laid out, so I enjoy that. And you do have the heated seats in the rear, as well as some USB ports and some cup holders. And overall, the quality still continues. These seats are so soft in the rear. I really like that. The stitching, the woodwork, that all continues even in the rear seats. There is ventilation in the rear, which is great for the rear passengers. Yeah, I mean, this is just a great place to spend a lot of time in and do long trips in. This is a really comfortable place, and I think most people are going to really like it. Now, wrapping up my time with the 2019 Mazda CX-5. Going into this, I think I know, this is going to be a great driving experience. All the journalists have said that already. It's a well-known fact. And yes, this is Mazda's #1 selling vehicle, the CX-5. I think they sell over like 100,000 of these things, but even still, I'm surprised that it doesn't sell anywhere near as much as the competitors do. And it's funny to me because usually every Mazda review gets so many hits, so many views on YouTube. It's just, but the sales figures don't quite translate. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So you know that drives great. It has a fantastic interior, super quiet, comfortable, yet the sales aren't really showing. I'm just really curious about that. I would like to know in the comment section if you're in the market for a new car, if you're considering the CX-5, and if you're not, why aren't you? So I would like to hear about that. But for me personally, I can say that if I was in the market for an SUV, I think this would have to be on my short list. This has got to be a car that I have to consider. I probably would choose over a lot of the other vehicles in this class. I actually owned a 2013 RAV4, my family did, and it's night and day between this vehicle and that Toyota. I have to choose this all day, and I'm actually getting the new RAV4 next week to review, so really curious how that stacks up. But this vehicle just feels so fluid, so natural. It's got plenty of power. This Skyactiv non-turbo is the engine that I would choose all day long with front-wheel drive. It feels so linear. It's got a great 6-speed automatic. It never gear hunts, never caused any issues, no drama. Just a great driving experience on the road. And you can toss this thing around like a car. It hardly shows its weight or mass in the corners. Really enjoyable to drive, especially for this segment that's high praise. I'm sure the tech is due for a refresh, but the tech that it has now, it works just fine. I mean, the only thing I care about is playing music, so it's got Apple CarPlay, you can handle that no problem. And the Bose sound system sounds great. Premium luxury interior, Audi, BMW rivaling. It's a great place to spend time in, and I think a lot of people are going to really enjoy this vehicle. So if you're in the market, definitely check this one out. But I'm going to leave Capital Mazda's information down in the description, both Will's information, the sales associate, and Jay, the general manager of the store. With that, that will be the end of this review. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care. Goodbye.